All right, our featured speaker, Alvin Lankford, Williamson County Chief Appraiser. Mr. Lankford has been with the Williamson County Appraisal District since 2000 as a registered professional appraiser. His professional affiliations include the Board of Tax Professional Examiners, the Tax Association of Appraisal Districts, the Texas Association of Assessing Officers, and the International Association of Assessing Officers. Please welcome Alvin Lankford.
Thank you very much. There's just a level of energy in this community that I just don't find anywhere else. I'm telling you, I speak all over the county, and when I come here this early in the morning to see this level of energy is quite impressive. I just want to point that. Shauna politely asked me not to ramble today. I guess last year's presentation was a bit long. I'm going to politely admire, or at least answer her request by not rambling. I have a 9 o'clock board meeting this morning back in our office, so I've got to get out of here rather quickly, so I'll go ahead and get into my presentation. I actually have good news for you this morning, which is, like I think Commissioner Morrison mentioned, it's the first time in a number of years that I can bring you that kind of good news. The economy is doing very well, and as you're going to see in the following slides, it's really good news for you as a community within Williamson County. The first thing I want to get into, though, and this will be short, but I want to talk to you a little bit about our office. We have changed a few things at our office if you come and visit us this year. We started a visitor check-in process a couple of years back, but we've added to that now. And what we've added is up in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see a kiosk. So when you first walk in, you're going to be greeted by a greeter that we have at the kiosk. And they'll walk you through getting checked in to see an appraiser right there. So you're not having to wait in line or wait in the lobby to see someone on the front counter. You're actually going to be checked in right there at the kiosk. You're able to scan your appraisal notice or your hearing notice right there at the kiosk. It automatically appears on the cue screen that's on the lower left-hand portion here. Your name will appear the time you checked in. And that also appears at our appraiser's desk. So we don't have to call an appraiser to let them know that you're here. They know immediately that you're in the lobby waiting. And then they come and pick you up. And as you'll see on the right-hand side here, they have an iPad that's in the lobby there. They select your name and their name at that time and then call you back to see the appraiser, which has really increased our efficiency on getting people processed through our system. Just to give you a few of the stats associated with that, this first slide here on the stats goes through the lobby wait time. In previous years, as I mentioned, you had to wait in line to actually see the front counter personnel, even though you were there to see an appraiser. Now you go directly back to see an appraiser. We have about a 7-minute wait time. So when you come in the office, you're only going to wait about 7 minutes to go back and see an appraiser for most of the residential properties. The properties that are the property types that are listed below that, actually, you'll see have an average of about 15 minutes. So even if you're there for a commercial piece of property, a piece of land, you're only going to be waiting about 15 minutes average to go back and see an appraiser. Keep in mind the 7 minutes on this next slide. The average appraiser meeting time for a residential property is about 19 minutes. These are our residential appraisers here. We have 19 minutes as our average meeting time. So once you've been called back to see an appraiser, you'll be with that appraiser for about 19 minutes. So if you add those two numbers together, the 7 minutes from the prior slide, the 19 minutes here, we're at somewhere around 26 to 27 minutes that you're going to be in our building. Which, to go there, complain about your value, to try to get it reduced, to have that meeting with the appraiser and leave all within about 26 to 27 minutes, I believe is quite impressive. It's the quickest we've ever seen it. I can tell you when I first started there, we were up over an hour, probably in total transaction time. So we've actually been able to reduce this, and I attribute this to our staff's diligent efforts in trying to get this process reduced. So with efficiency sometimes does come lack of customer service. So we want to make sure that we're still giving good customer service. Every person that walks through the door gets a customer service survey from us. So they're handed a survey, and they ask questions about how prompt we were, how professional we were in our presentation, did we give you a good explanation of why we valued your property the way we did. And all of those are graded, and we enter them into a system called SurveyMonkey, many of you may be familiar with, and we get graphics out of it. And these are just a couple representations of that. What I will say is I didn't think we could get better than we were last year. We were at like 96% on our promptness. But now with that new system I just showed you, we're at 99 to 99.7% on promptness of service. So everybody that comes in the door is really amazed at how efficient that process is running now. But not only that, the explanation of the property value, the professionalism that my staff is giving to the property owners that come in is at an all-time high. We're at 96 to this 99% on whatever metric you look at. So I want to commend again my staff for doing such a good job at handling the public that comes in. This is a result of the process that I just described. About 80% of the property owners that come in to see an appraiser are automatically sent back to see an appraiser in this queuing process that we have, which has actually saved about 36% of the total visitors from going to our front counter, which has really reduced the amount of time that our front counter personnel have to deal with people coming in. They're able to do other jobs that they have, answer the phones more promptly, etc. And so this has really reduced our time and wait time on the front counter. That if you're there to see someone about an exemption, you're going to get to the front counter much more efficiently. So that was my ramble. So let's get into the details. This is the overview and property count that I give you now. I think 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. So this is just an update. This is the good news that I was telling you about before. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first slide here is just the properties by value. So just to give you an idea of what Hutto's like, you have about 62% of your value within Hutto ISD that is related to residential property. And you can see that 22% is land. So there's still a lot of vacant land out there, a lot of growth for you guys to tout that you have land for them, and water, it sounds like. This next shows you that 96% of the count of properties is residential in nature. So actually, very much a bedroom community. There's very much a number of residential properties. There's a lot of homes here in comparison to the other types of properties. Okay, now we get into that positive that I was talking about. As you can see, even through the years of recession, Hutto was doing very well. We have grown every year here. This includes new properties as well as existing properties. We've actually grown our role in Hutto. The 2013 number you're looking at, this is my first disclaimer, it'll be on every slide here, so maybe I can just say it at this time. When you see 2013, that is preliminary values. So that basically means the time we send notices out, that's the value that we're showing here. Obviously, we have a protest season where people come in and contest their values, and some of those values are reduced. So this graphic here on the far right for 2013 will be slightly reduced over the protest cycle. Here's a really nice slide. This is the average residential home value within Hutto ISD. As you can see, through the areas of 2008 through 2012, it was steadily decreasing. And now in 2013, the average home value has actually increased for the first time in a number of years. I think it's up over 4% if I got my math right this morning, which is an incredible figure, and it's really nice to see that we are actually increasing our average home value. That is a good sign that you that are homeowners here, your property values actually are going up. If you're looking to sell in the future and hopefully move into a larger home within Hutto ISD or the city of Hutto, you are actually supporting this number here. This next slide actually explains how Hutto residential properties have trended through the past few years. And as you can see, the red line here represents those that decreased in value by more than 1,000. The blue line represents those that have increased in value by more than 1,000. For the past few years, you're seeing that more properties were decreasing than were increasing in residential, which is pretty much held true throughout the entire county. The green line is actually those that stayed about the same. For the first time in several years, we're seeing those lines cross. And so what that means is more property values are going up than are going down, which is a positive sign for the community. Which, this is just 2013, 72% of the residential properties actually have gone up in value this year. It means more work for us usually. People come in and protest their values, but it is a positive sign for the community nonetheless. Now we get into commercial. Commercial was actually taking a dip, not as much as residential, but as you can see over the time frame of the recession, we were slightly going down. Oh, that's much better. And as you can see that in 2012 we actually saw our first increase, and in 2013 we're seeing an increase as well. The 2013 is going to include, actually all these numbers include new growth for that year as well. So this is both existing property value as well as new growth. Multifamily, this is a positive sign. This is all your duplexes and apartment complexes within Hutto ISD. That has been growing steadily over this time. Even in times of recession, multifamily has done very well. think this has to do, and this is kind of held true throughout the county, it has to do with people are having a harder time getting into a home, and so therefore they need a rental property, usually an apartment complex or duplex, and you can see that that demand for that type of property has been evident in the amount of growth that we've had in this. Here's the same graph we showed you on residential, but this gets into the commercial. Actually, those lines crossed, if you will, back in 2011, it crossed, and it stayed that way. So more properties since 2011 in commercial in Hutto ISD have been going up than have been going down. This is a little interesting because usually the commercial trends are behind residential. As residential starts to increase, then you start to see commercial increase. So commercial's been increasing even though residential has been decreasing, which is an interesting trend here in Hutto. 74% of the properties in 2013 have gone up in value in the commercial sector. And this next slide is the total market value. This is market value, not the taxable value, but the total market value within Hutto is about $2.17 billion. And so as you can see, that has been steadily increasing over these years as well. So 2013, again, is preliminary, but you can see that there's quite a significant jump from 2012. This next slide is the number of new residential improvements. This is something we've seen throughout the county. Residential improvements were dropping because of the recession. You've seen very little development, very little builders in the area as far as building out existing lots, and now you're starting to see that pick back up. And just as a side note to this, as far as the number of subdivisions and platted lots that we've seen each year, this past year we experienced 37% increase in the number of platted lots throughout the county. That is a really good sign that developers are interested in our market again. They're looking at buying land. They are developing land that hasn't been developed prior to now and creating lots for these new homes. So I believe that what you'll see is this number increase again next year just because of the fact that all those developers are going out and spending money on lots to put homes on. So it's good that it's going up this year, but I fully anticipate this number will increase again next year. This is the number of commercial improvements within Hutto ISD. As you can see, it dropped off through the years of the recession. We had a pretty good year in 2012 with new commercial businesses. It dropped off slightly again in 2013, but we're still up over the 2010 level, so we're still doing well. And I have a feeling that this number, as far as the number of new businesses within Hutto ISD, will follow that residential trend I was telling you. As rooftops start to get built here in this area, you're going to see more and more commercial businesses want to follow those rooftops. This is basically just a percentage breakdown of those new improvements within Hutto. There was only 9, so it's a kind of a strange slide as far as the percentages are concerned, but you can see that 46% were related to industrial. So about half that number were related to new industrial improvements within Hutto. All right, this is kind of the most important slide for the taxing units that are in the area. This shows that existing property values in blue, what they did from year to year, new improvement value in green, and the difference in taxable value from the prior year in red. So to give you a better explanation of that, as you can see during the years of the recession in 2009, 2010, our existing property values were dropping, as you can see. And then in 2011, you can see that existing property values actually got just slightly back over the zero line, so they were starting to increase. But during all that time, the green bars, we were seeing growth within Hutto. So that has actually been able to overcompensate, if you will, the amount of decrease in existing property values. We've had growth that's actually taken up the slack, if you will, of those decreasing property values in those green bars. And the red bar itself actually shows the total difference. So once you add all the new property in there, as well as what's happened with the existing property, the red represents what's happened from year to year. As you can see, for 2013 preliminarily, we are at 4.9%. Actually, what my estimate there is what it's going to look like after the cycle. So I'm estimating about a 4.9% growth in July. That's after the protest cycle. So after people have protested, I still believe we're going to have in Hutto a roll increase of around 5%. That is it, and I hope that wasn't too long, Sean. Any questions? This will be the first year, there's no question. Every year I get somebody.
You might mention the total increase countywide in taxable value.
Actually, in taxable value, preliminarily, it was about a 9% increase countywide, but after protest, we're going to look at somewhere around a 5% increase as well. So it's really positive for the county. For all the entities within the county are seeing very similar growth. I think it's just it's good to see. For a number of years, I said we're almost there. We're almost there. We never seem to get there, and now we've finally, I think, broken the mold, and we've started to increase again. So it's good to see. Any other questions, comments?
Last Thursday, I went to protest with taxes. I really liked your system.
You went in recently, is that what you said?
Last Thursday.
Oh, good deal. I'm glad you liked the system. So it was efficient for you? You got in to see someone? Very good.
But one question I was wondering afterwards, is there any thought or discussion about switching, like insurance companies look at your house as a replacement value instead of a sales tax approach? If we looked at doing the same as insurance companies, replacement value. It seems like it'd be a more stable method.
Yeah, replacement value is very subjective on what it would take to replace. We are actually looking at sales information to escalate or de-escalate property values. As you've seen, even in the times of economic downturn, we've been reducing property values. Replacement values, the cost to replace a property, is not going to show those same fluctuations. And so people that were expecting an increase in their property taxes during those years that the economy wasn't doing so well may not have seen that. But with looking at market value, you've been able to actually see that trend happen. So I don't think we're going to aim towards that. That's something that the legislature obviously would change, and probably something you'd have to talk to insurance agents to push, because I don't think that will ever happen on the property tax.
You said, the aerial views, you did use some digital photography. It seems like you could use those pictures, look at the cost of construction of the building. It just seems like a more stable, flat line, people can get into all this stuff and down. And you should sell your house like that when I was in protest with taxes. You compare my house to a house in Round Rock. It seems like you get out of that kind of scenario.
You could, if you're looking straight at cost, you could get a more stabilized environment across the board, but the problem is you wouldn't see the increases associated with new people coming into the area and increasing property values, or in the case of a dying economy where you see those property values go down as quickly. So it would be more stable for everybody involved, I would agree with that, but I don't know that we would ever go to a system of replacement cost only, because you would have a lot of, how do I want to say this, a lot of value that was being missed from the roll during times of increase.
Yeah, Mr. Lankford, excuse me, my name is Kirk Clay, I'm with the Austin San Antonio Corridor Council. I just wanted to ask, do you have, it seems like Hutto has been very consistent with its civic and business leadership meeting, at a minimum just communicating and staying aware of things. Do you have any suggestions? Because one of your slides is pretty dramatic. It was a pie chart that showed land use, and that 71 and looked like about 80% of the land use in Hutto is residential. So the burden of responsibility or tax burden falls on the residents. Any suggestions on how a portion of the land use should be industrial or commercial, retail, and residential multifamily to try and find more equitable distribution of the tax rate? Is that something you talk about at like national conferences or anything?
It's really not. That's more of a question for economic development people than it is for an appraiser. We're looking at the results of that when it happens, but not actually how to get there. So.
Okay. I'm just wondering if appraisers, planners, and economic developers, offer a professional look at how to balance your city. It helps mayors and owners of companies understand the economics of it all.
We do help report that to them. I think that's something we've done countywide and statewide, honestly, with all the other appraisal districts. We give them a good reporting system to see what's happened in the past, but we haven't been involved in projecting what would increase those numbers for them.
Okay.
As a school district, we want more commercial development because it gets the burden off the residential taxpayer. One of the slides on there talks about about a 5% increase. Is that right?
Yes.
For residential values, or for values in certified values in the whole district. Just to let you know, that doesn't help us on the maintenance and operations tax because it's an equalized system. So if our values go up, our state aid goes down. We just collect more locally. The only place where that helps us is on the debt service side, when we're paying our bond payments on our buildings. If the money, the less we have to tax in order to be there for bond payment. So,
That's a very good point, and I think school districts, the way financing works is so different than any other taxing unit. It's a good point to make.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.